to Horry County. Welcome to Horry Georgetown Tech, to Myrtle Beach. It is an honor to have my colleagues and committee members here today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to the members of the public that are here today. We are going to open up this meeting of our Department of Transportation, Modernization, and Ad Hoc Committee with a prayer from Representative Kirby. Representative Kirby, would you please open us up in a word of prayer? Thank you. Please be patient with us. We are sharing microphones, so
Thank you, Madam
thank you.
Let's pray. Oh Lord, we come to you with humble hearts today. We thank you. We thank you for the beauty of this day. We thank you for safety and travel. We thank you for bringing us all together to do the work of the people of South Carolina. Pray that you will give us guidance, wisdom as we move through this information. Thank you for each person who is here. Please be with us. We pray. Amen.
And thank you, Representative Kirby. We're going to start off, and again, we're going to pass a microphone, so please be patient with us, bear with us. But I do want everybody to take a minute to introduce themselves, who you are, what part of the state you represent. I am Heather Ammons Crawford. I represent District 68. It's Horry County, the greater Socastee, Forest Brook, Burgess community.
Good evening, Shannon Erickson, House District 124, which is Beaufort County.
Thank you. I'm Lonnie Hosey. I represent Allendale, Barnwell, and parts of Orangeburg County. Thank you. Good to be here with you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Willis, and I represent two areas in the upstate, part of Greenville County and a portion of Lawrence County. And my home is in the town of Fountain Inn.
Good evening, everyone. Roger Kirby. I live in Lake City, represent House District 101, which is Florence, Williamsburg, and Berkeley County. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Good afternoon. I'm Robbie Robbins. I represent District 97, which is Colleton and Dorchester counties, and I live in Somerville.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Lawson. I represent District 30, which is Cherokee and Spartanburg counties. Good evening. I'm Philip Bowers. I represent District 3 in Pickens County, Clemson, Central, and 6 Mile area. Go Tigers.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us here, and to our hosts. We appreciate your hospitality. I'm Leon Stavronakis. I represent District 119 in Charleston County.
Hi, I'm Stephen Long. I represent District 37 in northern Spartanburg County.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cambrell Garvin. I serve South Carolina House District 77, located in Richland County, and I live in Blythewood.
Good afternoon. My name is Don Chapman, District 8, Anderson County.
Hello, I'm Bill Hager, represent House Seat 122 down in Hampton, Jasper, Colleton, and Beaufort counties.
Brandon Guffey, represent House District 48, which is Rock Hill, Lake Wiley up in York County.
Good afternoon. My name is David Vaughn. I represent District 27 from Greenville County. I represent Simpsonville and Malden area. Thank you.
Thank you. And to my left here, we have Mills Carlton. He is our budget analyst for our budget subcommittee, transportation and regulatory on the House Ways and Means Committee. And we have Emma here to my right, who is with our Education and Public Works Committee. Gonna take just a minute for a couple of administrative things. To our committee members, you have your packets in front of you. Will be the presentation from PRT and some information from DOT. For the members of the public, we do have some screens here. And also members, committee members, please make sure that you fill out your vouchers and give them to Emma and Mills. I am going to hand it over for a second to my co-chair, Representative Erickson, and then we will begin the program.
Thank you very much. It's great to be in the Grand Strand. I grew up in the PD, so this was my backyard, and I love coming back to it and seeing it so vibrant. We had a little bit of a accident, I guess, with the sign-up sheets. So for the public, everyone signed in, and we love knowing that you're here, but we think that probably not all of you have signed up to speak. So when we get to that portion of it, we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but if you've spoken to us prior to this meeting, we would ask for you to let the folks who haven't have a chance to go first in the interest of time. A little bit of housekeeping stuff on that. Members, the questioning for PRT and DOT, if we can keep those questions for Emma and Mills to share with them after the fact instead of us all bombarding them here, that would probably be best as well, since we're on a time schedule. And appreciate all your travel. Anything else housekeeping wise, Madam Chair? I think that's good. Thank you for filling up the room, everybody. It looks great. We appreciate the interest. I guess up next would be our Director of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. And thank you, Wayne Parrish, for being here and for keeping South Carolina so vibrantly alive with the tourism on the state level. I know you got good partners in this county and in mine, so we can't wait to hear about what's going on across the state.
We do. Thank you, Madam Co-Chair, and members of the committee. I thought, given some of you are relatively new in the legislature, I thought I'd take just a few minutes here in my opening to talk a little bit about PRT, the agency, what we do, and a little bit about tourism. So bear with me, and then I'll get into some about what tourism means to transportation and what that means to visitors and how important that is. Push it, there we go. So a little bit about PRT. We operate a little over 50 state parks. We have 8 more that are opening here in the next couple of years. We market the state as a tourism destination. We provide grants for parks, and that includes municipal parks, county parks, and obviously state parks, recreation and tourism development. As some of you may be aware, outdoor recreation has been an all-time high post-COVID, and it still remains much that way today. Yeah. I'm going to hold this so you can hear me a little better. So, like every good organization, we have a mission statement, and I'm not going to read this in detail, but you can kind of read it. I'll leave it on the screen for you for just a minute. But whether government, for-profit, nonprofit, this is so you don't forget what you're doing. But now, when you're in the elevator and you're only going one floor, and somebody says, "Hey, what does your agency do?" This is what we do. We're about heads in the beds, feet in the fairways, and people in the parks. It really boils it down to that simple. And everyone at our agency knows what this is. This is it's listed as our goals, but this is what we are doing. And if everything we try to do at our agencies, we focus on these things. Oop. So, what we do in regard to state parks. What are our 50-plus state parks? What are they broken down to? It's a little over 90,000 acres. That will grow here in the next few years. We have 155 cabins throughout the state, some of which are here at Myrtle Beach State Park. We have an 80-room hotel at Hickory Knob State Park. We have 3,000 campsites throughout the state. We have 2 18-hole golf courses those are at Hickory Knob and Sherrall State Park, and over 300 miles of trails. Now, as I mentioned, since COVID, we've had record numbers of visitation in state parks. We've expanded, renovated, and done quite a bit of work in our parks. We're getting over 10 million people a year now throughout our parks, and I anticipate with growth in the state and that need for more green space to continue. So some of the other things we do, obviously recreation is in our name. So we expand recreational resources in local communities through state and federal grant programs that acquire. Some acquire land, create trails, re-nourish beaches, which is critical to tourism, and support other recreational projects. And one thing I'll say about beach renourishment is to tourism what asphalt is to the transportation industry. It's critical. I mean, it is how we function. 2/3 of tourism comes from the coast in our state. The beaches they're the golden egg that the goose laid, and beach renourishment is a part of what we do. And every few years we have to put that sand back, just like asphalt is on an interstate. What does tourism mean to the state? We're over a $30 billion a year tourism industry. We support 1 in every 10 jobs, i.e. 10% of the workforce. We generate almost $2 billion in state and local taxes. We manage the state's tourism brand and our marketing for the state. That's Discover South Carolina, as you can see on the screen. Now,
Tourism relies on roads. There's a key statistic in here, and I'll read it if you can't see it. Of all the visitors that come visit our state, 89% come by way of car. Now, if you think about that a minute, we all talk a lot about air service, and it's very important, but it's really only about 10% of how people get to our state. So 89% are coming in by way of car. So obviously that means a lot for our visitors to be able to access us. We're not Hawaii. Over 2/3 of South Carolina's annual visitors are residents from neighboring states living within the 350-mile radius. There's a little pun on the golf there, driving range. But that really is, if you draw a circle around the state, that's what we call our drive market, essentially. Meaning 2/3 of those folks are coming from within that 350-mile radius. So, greeting tourists creating tax revenue. So when you come into our state, you basically come mostly through the interstates, but obviously the secondary highways. We have 9 welcome centers around the state, 8 of which are on our state's borders. They are a first impression to the state. We have 4 new ones that we have built in the last 10 years. We have 2 under construction as I speak, and we'll break ground on 2 more and finish out our program probably sometime late next year of these welcome centers that, quite frankly, were built in the 1970s. I call them the state's front porch. That the first impression a visitor sees, even if they're just stopping to use the restroom, they form an impression. They also, in many cases, give our welcome center travel counselors an opportunity to interact with visitors. If you think about Interstate 95 and Interstate 85, they may be just driving through the state, but if we can stop and get them to buy gas, stop and eat, stop and shop, there's sales tax, there's, in this case, gas tax. There are a lot of things involved in that to help generate more revenue. As you can see, the welcome centers generate millions of dollars annually, and that's in the bold print here, really for our people that are traveling in the state. And while the phone, I realize everybody today uses the phone in most cases to do a lot of the travel planning. There's nothing like there's nothing like talking to the person who lives in the state and who is a travel counselor, knows all about South Carolina. Whereas I like to say, high touch will never be replaced by high tech. And that's true. And our visitor centers are a great example of that. A little bit about Horry County, and you're going to learn a little more from Jimmy Gray, who's going to talk after me about from the Chamber of Commerce here in Myrtle Beach. They'll talk a little bit more about it, but I just want to hit on this. I mentioned that 2/3 of our total state tourism comes from the coast. Of that, 27% of visitors in the state comes from this county, comes out of Horry County. Think about that. That's almost 1/3 of tourism coming just from Horry County. A chart every organization likes to see. But as you can see here, this is the growth of visitor spending in Horry County. Now, obviously, you can see COVID take place. You can see what year that is. That's 2020. But for those of you in the room, if you can't, you can see the screen over here. But obviously, this has grown 57%. It's grown 57% just since through this timeline here, and continues to grow each year, really. I mean, and honestly, this year, I need to tell you too, despite what you read in the press, hotel occupancy, hotel rates are both up statewide. Short-term rental occupancy and short-term rates are up statewide. Yes, the percentage of the Canadian visitors has dropped somewhat, but it's been replaced by domestic leisure tourism. And that's true throughout the state. And I know Myrtle Beach in particular, Can-Am Canadian American days go back to the 1960s, still very relevant today, particularly for golfers. But nonetheless, without that, yes, the Canadian market has gone down, but it has slowly worked its way back somewhat. And it quite frankly is replaced or been supplemented by domestic leisure visitors. So tourism tax revenue. So this is a key point. Tourists in South Carolina generate $1,000 in state and local taxes per resident household across the state. Now that's impressive. That's a statewide number. But when you look at Horry County, tourists in Horry County generate $4,000 in state and local taxes per resident household in the county. It's 4 times what it is from a state perspective. Shows you the impact of tourism here in Horry County. So that's myself, contact information up there. Emily Frierson, who's our Director of Government Affairs, behind me here in the black dress as well. I think most of you may know her, but not. And at that point, I'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Director Parrish. That was very informative, and I know there'll be questions that the members will get to you I believe you said you were going to call up someone
Yeah.
after
Jim-
you.
Yeah,
Jimmy?
I'd asked Jimmy Gray to come from Myrtle Beach Chamber to kind of get in a little more about the Horry County and the Myrtle Beach numbers.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Members, you have Director Parrish's information on the back. You can ask him questions directly, or you can get your questions to Mills or Emma, and they can get us answer for the whole committee. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Dwayne. We appreciate all you do. Emily, good to see you as well. Welcome.
Afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You.
My name is Jimmy Gray. I'm the president of the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. It's great to see so many familiar faces that got their start in the State House here with the Myrtle Beach Freshman Caucus Retreat. And for those folks that I don't know that might be a freshman, we're excited to welcome you back to Myrtle Beach in a couple weeks. So, elated to have this hearing here in Myrtle Beach. And I think Director Parrish did he always does a wonderful job of representing our entire state and showcasing the importance of tourism and what it means. So thank you all for being here. And thank you all for being here. This sends a strong message to leaders around the state that Horry County cares about our involving in the civic process and cares about upgrading our roads. So grateful for all the wonderful partners that are behind me. Like Director Parrish said, most of our visitors are coming here by car. We have here in the Myrtle Beach area, it's about 90% of visitors that are traveling by car. We work very closely with our airport to try and drop that number because we do know that our visitors that fly here often spend a little bit more money when they come visit Myrtle Beach, but we still are a very, very drive-dependent market. And in 2024, that number was over 17 million people. So over 17 million international and domestic people came and spent their hard-earned dollars here in the Myrtle Beach area and vacationed with us. Myrtle Beach remains, like Director Parrish said, there are some headlines about travel and tourism and what the geopolitical instability might mean for those industries. The Myrtle Beach area remains the #1 in-demand beach destination in the United States of America. So let that sink in, the #1 in-demand beach destination across the entire United States. So when we talk about the Myrtle Beach area, we're talking about kind of the Grand Strand, like Chairwoman Erickson highlighted. This represents over 425 different hotel properties and over 157,000 short-term rental, basically rooms throughout the entire Grand Strand. That means we have more rooms here in this area than Las Vegas. Those are rooms that we need to fill. And fortunately, we've rebounded so well since COVID, like Director Parrish showed on the chart there. Thanks a lot to you all. The State House invested significantly in tourism advertising and promotion. Representative Stavronakis was a leader on that front with your subcommittee on the Ways and Means Committee. So grateful for the state investment in Director Parrish and his organization, as well as what we do. The Myrtle Beach area, yes, we have a lot of visitors, also a lot of residential growth, similar to your communities, a lot of residential growth that's happening here. And what that leads to is congestion. You're all dealing with congestion in your communities. And I wanted to highlight for those locals that are in the room, a project that really I think is paramount and should be top of mind when this community talks about DOT modernization. And there's two words that might be a pressure point for some folks, but I'm going to say them anyway. They're International Drive. So International Drive is a project here in Horry County that really first started the actual work on this project in the year 2002. I believe I attended the ribbon cutting for that road in 2018. So that's a road in one of the most important congested areas. It's connecting the Carolina Forest area, one of the fastest growing parts of this state, to the Highway 90 area, another one of the fastest growing parts of this state. And throughout the litigation process, throughout the permitting process, we really, it took us about 16 years to finally cut the ribbon on that road. And now it's one of the most important critical arteries throughout Horry County. And so as we talk about permitting reform, as we talk about efficiencies and ways to speed up projects, we certainly have seen that here in Horry County, not just on roads, but as we can expand this to infrastructure in general. A lot of you may not know that Horry County is currently the only county in the state with a moratorium on natural gas, commercial natural gas. This moratorium is holding up over $1 billion worth of economic development projects throughout the county. So just general permitting reform, anything that can be done. And a lot of this was addressed through the energy legislation that the State House tackled in the past year. I'm grateful to your all leadership on that issue as well. Last thing I'll touch on is local buy-in and local investment. And if the people that pack this room today don't show you that Horry County cares about roads and upgrading our infrastructure, look no further than this past November. when Horry County voters went to the polls and voted yes on the largest local transportation tax in state history. So Horry County voters went to the polls and approved an over $6 billion local tax package that will help build new roads. The Southern Connector Road is a part of that. There's money dedicated to Interstate 73 as a part of the Ride 4 program. There's money for dirt road widening. There's truly something for everyone. So local buy-in and local investment is something that Horry County certainly understands. We need to chip in local dollars if we're going to ask the state or federal government for funding for our projects. And we'd encourage communities around the state to take similar steps to the ones that we're taking here in Horry County. And a lot of the people behind me had a lot to do with getting that passed. And as we talk about that list of projects, a lot of it included bridges. I know that's something that we're going to address today. So for those of you that came to town from the west, from either the Midlands or the upstate, you drove on one of the most dangerous bridges in the entire state. The state has, if you drove on 501 here to Myrtle Beach today, I can tell you drove on one of the top 10 most dangerous bridges, according to SCDOT. So grateful for the partnership with SCDOT, and Secretary Powell does a great job of representing the entire state as well as here in Horry County, where I know he cares deeply about. So grateful for the time. Please spend the night. If you don't have a hotel room yet, go to visitmyrtlebeach.com, spend lots of money. It should be a beautiful night. Restaurant recommendations are on that website too, and grateful for the time.
Thank you, Jimmy. And thank you to Director Parrish, and we appreciate those presentations. Up next, we have Department of Transportation, Secretary Powell. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair, members of the committee. Thank you all again for having us here for this presentation in the Independent Republic of Horry. I wanted to make a couple recognitions here just for folks here. We have two of our commissioners here. Curtis Spencer represents the 5th Congressional District, as well as Sel Hemingway, a longtime Georgetown fixture, is our 7th District Commissioner, recently appointed. We also have some folks, particularly for the public's interest, that are kind of working day to day on things. Our District Engineering Administrator for District 5, which is most of the Grand Strand and PD, Kyle Berry, is here. He's available for any questions. And then Julie Barker and Stacy Johnson from our Pre-Construction Division. They manage most of the construction projects that we have here in the Myrtle Beach area. So go into some detail. So I'll quickly just touch on a few things, updates from our last meeting. There is a letter from me that is in response to one of the comments from the last meeting that we've put on your desk, just to put some context on it. But wanted to just really quickly walk through these slides and then answer any questions the committee might have. I think the main storyline, as we've said, is that SCDOT is delivering upon what it was asked to deliver in 2017 in the roads bill that was passed by the House and Senate to implement an increase in the gas tax, but also to really start funding roads. Now, the main priority of that bill was focusing on our state's backlog of deferred maintenance for 30 years. Prior to that point, we really have been managing the decline of our transportation system. This has really allowed us, and I'll talk a little bit more in depth about what we've been able to do. I think particularly in a community like Horry County, Myrtle Beach area, South Carolina has changed dramatically in the past 8 years, and the exponential growth that we've seen happen not only here, but all across South Carolina is requiring us to look at how we change doing business. One of the key elements of the 2017 roads bill is that we were required to implement a performance-based plan on how we would deliver results for how those funds have been invested. What I would say is from our last time we met, all of these statistics have been updated, that we have put out more projects, added another 30 miles or so of road safety projects, another 15 bridges have been put out. Paving projects are starting to get underway. 9,700, nearly a quarter of the state highway system underway. We're going to start bidding paving projects over the next several months, and so you'll see that number go up. But overall, we were focused on railroad safety. We have the unfortunate distinction of having the nation's worst railroad fatality rate. We set out originally as a goal of 1,000 miles. We've already gotten 1,200 miles underway. We've upped our goal to 1,300. I talked about paving. We've gotten nearly 1/4 of the 41,000 mile long system that we have under contract and complete. Bridges, we just, our commission last week voted to increase our bridge target thanks to the funding we received from the General Assembly this past year. That additional $200 million increased our bridge target from 530 bridges to 550 bridges. And we've seen we've gotten 430 bridges. And then our interstates, we have work happening in almost every corner of the state with 121 miles either complete or under construction. Digging into construction, and I want to highlight a couple of the projects that we have right now. Our construction program, thanks to the 2017's roads bill, thanks to the 2021 federal infrastructure law, and then thanks to the continued one-time investments that are made by the General Assembly, we have close to tripled the amount of work that we have under construction. Right now, we have reported to our commission last week, we have $6.5 billion worth of active construction projects. Here along the Grand Strand, I'll highlight a couple things. We just completed the Tournament Boulevard, worked on the Tournament Boulevard McDowell Shortcut intersection improvements. We work very closely. Mr. Gray made a reference to the Horry County Sales Tax Program. We work very closely with them on a series of projects here that we design, working together with the funding they provide. Highway 501, if you came in that way, is being widened right now. Highway 701 from the North Carolina line. Some projects on the horizon. Forest Brook Road is a major suburban corridor here in the area, about to be improved. And then if you were coming down here from Highway 501, you saw the Highway 17 bypass widening going on. So tremendous amount of activity going on. In terms of once we build it, we have to maintain it. And I wanted to go specifically what's going on in District 5. So those are the PD and Grand Strand counties. Our crews here are maintaining about 7,000 of the 41,000-mile roads in the state, nearly 1,500 of the 8,400 bridges the DOT owns. And then you can see they maintain, just in this one district alone, which is probably work more than most state DOTs do, 116,000 signs, 87,000 acres of mowing, 1,000 miles of ditch clearing, and 170,000 potholes just worked in this area alone. You know, I think as we talk about it, and I know we've shared with the committee, there are challenges facing road construction and our industry moving forward and how we can better deliver products for the citizens. First of all, I think we all know it takes many hands through a fairly complex transportation planning process to get a project completed. I talked a lot about, at the last few meetings, about our relationship with the US DOT. I'm thankful that President Trump and Secretary Duffy have been working to streamline delivery of projects and processes as we move forward. And I think that's something that I hope this committee will consider as well. Just like the folks at the grocery store, our buying power has been decreasing since that 2017 roads bill has been passed. And when you can kind of see from back in 2017-18, we could do 114 miles of two-lane pavings with one penny of the gas tax. That is now down to 87 miles of two-lane paving with one penny of the gas tax. And then I think, as everybody can tell, particularly in the county like Horry County, the Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, Conway areas, we are seeing an exponential rate of growth happening in South Carolina. I think people have discovered what we all know, that South Carolina is a great place to raise a family, to retire, to open a business, and to work. But we ultimately get that complaint from many of the land use decisions that are made by the cities and counties in this area, who make the decision on how development happens. But at the end of the day, we get the impact traffic that comes from it. In terms of South Carolina's population growth since 2020, we have already added 360,000 new residents to South Carolina since the 2020 census. In Horry County alone, this community is anticipated to add 200,000 more residents by 2040 in the next 15 years. And consistent with just that rapid rate of growth, that we are typically the first, second, third, or fourth fastest growing state in the union. So I look forward to working with the committee on addressing these issues, and eager to hear the public testimony we have. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you for being here. I do have one quick question. You mentioned some local projects, and we have had several folks reach out regarding a specific project, Indigo Farms, and I think we have some folks here tonight. Could you, or a member of your team, maybe just give, I know there's some meetings coming up that are specific to that project, and I just want to make sure that we have the information for them, they know about the information, and I know we have some handouts. Could you maybe just, one of y'all, announce those meetings for the folks that are here so that we can make sure that they know about it and that they can participate in those public information meetings, which I believe are coming up next week. I just know we have several members, or several
do.
members of the public reached out on that.
I'm going to highlight Stacy Johnson, who's the regional production group leader for this area. He'll be the project. He's happy to talk with constituents afterwards, but just as a high level, one of the Horry County Ride 3 projects is an extension of Highway 31, which is basically the parallel route to the coast of Highway 17 here. It's a freeway. Today goes from just outside of Burgess, Socastee area all the way up to Highway 9 in Longs. The proposal is to extend, and this has been on the books since 2016 in the referendum that passed then, be to extend Highway 31 into North Carolina to eventually connect again with Highway 17 in North Carolina. This is a bi-state project between North Carolina DOT and South Carolina DOT with the Horry County funding. They are going through a series of alternatives, and that's part of any road development process required by the federal permitting process. There is a preferred alternative that's been selected. But what's important is that there will be 2 meetings next week, one on September 29th in North Carolina, and then one on September 30th on the South Carolina side, since it's 2 state DOTs working together on this project. That will be a public hearing. That is a very good time to make any public comment about the route alignment. Again, it is not a defined and permanent alignment. That's why we are doing the hearing. And then that would be the determination for any environmental decision.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for that. I just know we've had several people reach out. I think we have some folks here tonight. So want to make sure that they are aware of that meeting, and when that meeting is, that would be a great venue for you to go and express concerns, questions, what have you. Again, we have Stacy and Kyle are some of our local SCDOT folks here in our area. They are here. They will be here afterwards. They can address any questions as far as local potholes, the Indigo Farms project, Forest Brook Road update, which I know the county actually released an update today. So any of those ongoing projects, they are your guys to speak to after this meeting, and they can certainly give you an update on all of that. Thank you so much. All right, with that, we are going to move into the next part of our program. Give us 1 minute, and we're going to get ready for the public testimony and public input.
All righty. As I mentioned before, we have a lot of names on a lot of papers up here. We're going to start with the folks who have signed up in advance, but let me go over a little housekeeping rules and procedures. The first thing I would ask is for the committee to please be considerate that we're looking at statewide issues, large issues. If it is a specific local intersection or a pothole or a problem with signage that is specifically, a local Grand Strand, Horry County, or near area, then you need to see Kyle or Stacy, and we welcome you to do that. The commentary for us here is large picture, big picture of how you see priorities, DOT problems, issues that you see as far as your area and the state. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak, and Mills will have the time. So when you're speaking, please make sure you're watching to watch for Mills. And as always, let's please be respectful to everybody in the room. I'd ask, it's nice to do, but it's a little distracting. Please no clapping or cheering or any of that stuff when people speak. Let them have their moment at the mic and share their issues. It helps us too to be able to hear what's going on. So first up is going to be, and I'll try really hard to not murder names. I promise. And if I don't get your name right, it was not personal, I promise. This one's actually pretty easy. I'm thanking them for being first. Laura Crowther. And when you come to the mic, please tell us who you are and who you're with, and then a little bit about what you're going to talk about. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Madam Co-Chairs, committee members, and my neighbors in the room. My name is Laura Crowther. I'm the CEO of the Coastal Carolinas Association of Realtors here in Horry County. We represent over 5,300 realtors in Horry and Georgetown counties. As you know, our area has grown substantially. I think that has been mentioned several times today. And one point that I would like to drive home is Horry County began addressing our infrastructure needs over 20 years ago with RIDE 1, 2, and 3, taking care of our roads here locally. And as Jimmy just mentioned, we just passed a 25-year transportation tax that will give us the necessary funding to not only take care of our existing infrastructure, but also do some pretty big picture expansion projects. Understanding safe and reliable transportation systems are an ongoing need for South Carolina. And we also know that funding is key to making this happen. I am, however, a little bit concerned about some rumblings I hear of a proposal for impact fees on residential properties here in South Carolina. We know that we're a fast-growing community. And while that is a wonderful thing, we are also experiencing exponential property value growth throughout the state, which in turn is pricing many of our service sector folks out of housing. So I do ask you, as you're taking careful consideration during this, make sure that we keep these families in mind, that we're not putting them out of housing, because it's not just the purchase of housing, it's also the rental of housing. Because anytime that impact fees are passed down, those fees typically triple, and that is ultimately passed down to the consumer. Residential real estate, or real estate in general, has about a $1.6 billion impact here on the Grand Strand and over $74 billion statewide. And I would just ask that we not do anything to create any type of burden for folks to enjoy homeownership if that is their desire, but everyone deserves to have proper housing. So we just need to keep the residents of our communities in mind. I would encourage us looking at strategic investment in road improvements, you know, in ways that are much different than maybe what we have considered. Possibly public-private partnerships or phased infrastructure investments. I just think there are better ways and other ways that we can do that. So I just have to share my concerns on impact fees. I have had the opportunity to drive many of these roads. I was just in Pickens County this past weekend. I was just in Walterboro a few weekends ago, and just last week in Isle of Palms. I make my way around the state quite a bit. I recognize the challenges that we have, but in no way, shape, or form do I want us to feel like that the only solution is just one directional. Thank you very much for your time and attention today. That is something I can't give back. As the realtor organizations, I'm not representing South Carolina realtors, I'm representing locally, and I just say that we look forward to working with you on a positive solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate you being here. Next up, Don Strickland.
I can assure you this is pizza. Madam Chair, House members, just appreciate the opportunity to be able to come and speak before you this evening. That's a visual aid and dinner. So I'll share that with you. But I'm Don Strickland, I'm the Director of PDRTA in Florence. We cover 6 counties in the PDE region. We're, I just want to kind of give an update. A very rural area, obviously. Florence, Darlington, Marlboro, Chesterfield, Dillon, and Marion counties. So over 3,600 square miles, our service area. In that very rural area, we're moving a lot of people. This month, we'll average about 44,000 passenger trips. For big agencies, that's not a lot, but whenever you're spread out, sometimes mailboxes are 5 miles away from each other, that's a lot of people to move around. One thing I want to share, and I think the biggest piece of this, is that 62% of those 44,000, so roughly 26,000 trips this month will be dedicated to a workforce. Take a lot of people to and from work each day throughout our 6 counties, and that we have partnerships with multiple industries, being able to get folks, a lot of that is demand and response service, picking them up from home, taking them to the front door of industry. We have a lot more opportunities out there, but we don't have the funding to be able to do a lot more. We do have partners that really help us, and that's part of my reason for being here today. So 62% of our ridership is workforce. Roughly 20%, so about 8,000 trips a month, is healthcare. A lot of that is our seniors, a lot of that is cancer center treatment. We work with McLeod and USC, a lot of FQHCs every day, taking folks to and from. So a lot of public transportation in our area. Out of all those numbers, we do 2 onboard surveys a year in our region across all 6 counties. It takes us a week to do it. And the one thing that I want to share today is that 77% of everybody that steps on our bus has no vehicle in their household. So you can imagine, 27,000 trips going, workforce trips every month, and 77% do not have a vehicle in their household. About 10% do have a car, but someone takes that vehicle either to school, to work, leaves the rest of the family at home with no vehicle. So, it's one thing I wanted to share there. There's a lot of service, a lot of potential to do a lot more things. And so I wanted to share just a couple of things with you. I'll be Vanna White in just a minute. But you're going to hear the story again in just a moment. Grab the pepperoni, I needed the cheese. This is 1987 in South Carolina. Just want to share that for a minute. $6 million in state mass transit funds was spent with 7 agencies across our state. So $6 million at 7 agencies. And do you see the size of the slices? Those are nice. I could eat maybe 2 of those right now. But that's kind of what we're looking at, 1987. Pretty big slices there for $6 million spread among transit. Let me say that I do know that our Secretary of Transportation, he understands this, he sees that he wants to work toward a solution. But I want to show you 2025. This is the same $6 million that we're getting for public transportation and state mass transit funds. But the guy laughed at me when I said, can you slice this into 34 slices? That's how many agencies we have getting the same $6 million. And the potential to do a lot more for workforce, for our seniors, for healthcare, it really stems on this. So we have federal funding. I have federal funding I can use, but there's not enough state mass transit funds to be able to match those dollars. But that's what 34 looks like. The same $6 million. So you're going to hear a little bit more about this, but that's really my main thing is that I urge you to consider a different model. I was told yesterday that we're probably looking at another 2 to 3 years of $6 million. I know that there's a statewide transit plan that's going to be developed, and I was told that we can't move the needle until that's done. We've been going at this. This is my 18th year, 6 years in my current role, and we got to have a solution faster than 2 or 3 years. So whatever it takes, state level, I urge you, I plead with you. There's a lot of relationships that's been built, a lot of things moving in the right direction. My concern is that 2 or 3 years, those relationships are going to fall apart. We're going to lose some industries because we can't get folks to the front door. We're decreasing turnover rates at industries in our area. Again, thank you all. I appreciate it. Everybody's peace.
Don, thank you for the visual aids. You get the award. The award so far in all of our hearings for the visual aids, and we might need you to come to Columbia and show the budget committee that. Yeah. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Appreciate what you're doing to get all those folks around where they got to go to. Representative Stavronakis, did you see that pizza deal? You want us to have them come talk to Ways and Means for you? Yeah. Next up, Aaron Walters. Hi, Aaron. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Aaron Walters. I'm the CEO of Neighbor to Neighbor of South Carolina. No, we're not servicing South Carolina yet, and we're not even servicing the entire PD yet. We do service Horry, Georgetown, and Williamsburg County, 4,000 square miles, is a nonprofit with volunteer drivers. We have average 800 rides a month. We're about to achieve 8,000 rides between the 3 counties that we're serving right now. There's an assumption out there that the volunteers are not dependable. We have a 98% completion rate. The reason why the dependability is a question is because there's still unmet needs. At least 120 medical appointments go without a scheduled driver every month just within our organization. And our average trip is 25 miles. A for-profit company here in Horry County would charge $105 to complete that trip. 78% of our clients are low income and can't afford the $105. We're also providing connection and companionship and bringing some folks to the park to fish. There's a national volunteer driver movement happening across the country where they're investing in nonprofit, community-based transportation networks. These models are scalable, reliable, and replicable, and South Carolina has the opportunity to embrace them as part of the modernization. We urge the committee to support nonprofit partnerships, invest in demand response solutions to close this gap of the unmet ride requests throughout the state. NTEN's done the research and on solutions that are working throughout the country, and we're available for this partnership.
Very much. We appreciate that. I apologize, Mr. Rivers is at the wrong campus. He's lost committee member. Sorry about that. Next up is Matt Lake, I believe. Correct? The other thing I should mention while I'm taking a minute, if you've got anything you'd like to submit to us, please let us know. You can email us or give handouts. The staff is happy to take those and we give them to all of our committee members because we have 24 of them, so not everyone is here tonight. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Matt Lake. I live just outside the town limits in Surfside Beach, and I'm a proud member of Class 46, Leadership Grand Strand. As an Horry County resident of 10 years, I've witnessed our area's exponential growth just as all of you have. With that growth comes a host of challenges, not the least of which is traffic and managing our roadways. But roads move people. In a society that is increasingly disconnected from each other, it's important that we remember the people part of those roads. As we've expanded roadways to make it easier for them to move more people more efficiently, I fear that we've forgotten that cars are not the only users of our roads. We've deprioritized pedestrians and cyclists and golf carts and other forms of transportation. Residents of Horry County flock to places like Market Common, Broadway at the Beach, Barefoot Landing, and downtown Conway, AKA Halloween Town, because they can leave their cars behind, they can see other people face to face, and they feel safe as a pedestrian. Have you ever noticed that when people can see each other's faces, they tend to smile and say hello? But when they're inside a steel cage, they tend to honk and flip fingers. As we develop and reimagine our roadways, we must remember that the people who live here enjoy using them on foot, bicycle, golf carts, scooters, and other non-car transportation. Encouraging motorists to slow down through design is referred to as traffic calming, and it leads to fewer accidents and less enforcement need. Wider lanes make drivers feel that they can go faster even when it's not safe. Sidewalks inches from speeding cars make pedestrians feel unsafe. On roads like 707, 544, and Glens Bay Road, just ask the mailboxes if pedestrians should feel safe on those roads. A lack of bike lanes and paths discourage cyclists and signal that they're not welcome. Lack of crosswalks make pedestrians feel that they must take their chances playing real-life Frogger. Guardrails that are installed to keep cars from hitting businesses, but only after they've crossed the sidewalk, signal that property is more valuable than pedestrians. The result of all these things is fewer walkers, fewer bikers, and more cars, which leads to more traffic, the need to widen roads and add more lanes. Through SCDOT requests, Santee Cooper's streetlight reporting tools, and engagement with the Horry County PD, we've already anecdotally improved safety on Glens Bay Road through driver education, targeted enforcement of school bus stops, and speed during critical times of the day, but there's plenty more that we can do. I've presented the committee with a preliminary plan to improve safety on Glens Bay Road, but I believe something similar can be implemented in many places throughout our state to improve our residents' happiness and safety. As this committee strives to improve congestion, I'd encourage you all to remember that every person walking, biking, or taking public transit is one less car on the road, one more smiling face, and one less honking a finger. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to offer feedback and welcome the committee's future engagement.
Thank you.
And I'm on time. How about that?
Perfect timing, Matt. Thank you so much. Jim Hemphill?
Down a little bit. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you to the committee for having us today. My name is Jim Hemphill. I'm the South Carolina and Georgia manager for the East Coast Greenway Alliance. I'm based in Charleston and Representative Stavronakis' district. The East Coast Greenway Alliance partners with government agencies, nonprofit organizations, small businesses, and individuals to develop the East Coast Greenway, an envisioned 3,000-mile walking and biking route from Maine to Key West, Florida. In coastal South Carolina, the Greenway traverses 7 counties and 30-plus communities, utilizing local trail systems like the Spanish Moss Trail in Beaufort County, the West Ashley Greenway and Mount Pleasant Way in Charleston County, and the Wacomaneck Bikeway here in Georgetown and Horry County. In fact, the city of Myrtle Beach was the first municipality along the entire route to complete the East Coast Greenway within its jurisdiction. I'm a little biased, just a little bit, but I think these trail segments are some of the most beautiful places to walk and bike along our entire route. At the same time, South Carolina also has some of the most dangerous portions of the East Coast Greenway route. Much of the route in rural areas follows US 17, where shoulders are limited in areas and many cars travel over and exceeding 70 miles per hour. In 2020, Chris Cotton and his dog Ava were traveling along one of these dangerous stretches outside of Ravenel when they were hit by a distracted driver and thrown 60 feet from the roadway. By that point, Chris had traveled over 1,500 miles from Calais, Maine. Tragically, his journey would end in South Carolina as he passed away from his injuries. Even more tragically, Chris was just one of 205 people that were killed in South Carolina while biking or walking in 2020. According to the most recent data available from SCDOT, South Carolina has the 3rd highest pedestrian fatality rate and the 5th highest bicyclist fatality rate in the entire country. Too many of our friends, family members, children, and neighbors go for a walk or bike ride every day and don't make it back home. As you continue to think about ways to modernize SCDOT, I urge you to please make the safety of all road users your #1 priority and demonstrate that by deploying more resources to safety projects around the state. SCDOT already has a great playbook, the Bicyclist and Pedestrian Safety Action Plan published in 2022. That document contains recommendations and specific projects to improve safety along South Carolina's most dangerous roads for bicyclists and pedestrians. In addition, nearly every town or city in the state now has or is in the process of developing a safety action plan. We need recurring state resources of state funding to implement these plans and to develop safety infrastructure like sidewalks, shared use pathways, crosswalks, and safety shoulders. Thanks to these studies, we know exactly where our most dangerous roads are for all road users. Now we have a choice. We can let these plans sit on a shelf, or we can dedicate funding and staff capacity to implement these projects and save lives in the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bernard Silverman. Welcome, welcome.
Madam Chair, Committee, my name is Bernard Silverman. I'm the board chair of Coast Guard Community. And I want to tell you just a little bit about who's riding our buses and why. The people riding our buses, as we've already heard, are mostly workforce people. We have also people riding for recreation, for family visits, for shopping, and reason that they're riding is that most of them are riding because a car is unaffordable to them. There are some that are riding because they're handicapped, they don't want to drive, they can't drive. Maybe they come from other places where they've been not driving for many years. But what they need from us is more frequency and more coverage. We are giving them reliability and we are giving them safety. But our buses, with the funding that we have, run about once an hour. So if you get out of work at 5 o'clock and miss by a 15 bus or whatever by a minute, you have to wait an hour for that bus. I think you've heard about the stagnant funding by the state for public transportation. But I just want to make one more point that if you're staying here in Myrtle Beach tonight or you're going out for dinner after this meeting, you're being served by workers that are making, according to the workforce website, $25,000 to $35,000 a year. They are not living in Myrtle Beach. They are not walking to work. They are trying to get to work on public transportation. And I'm asking you to really consider that when you do your transportation funding in the next budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silverman. Next up, Marvin Keene. I think Marvin. Welcome.
Co-chairs and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Marvin Keene. I'm here as a business owner, manager, and investor who calls the Grand Strand. My message is simple: a stronger, smarter mass transit system isn't a nice to have for South Carolina. It's a business infrastructure, essential as broadband and bridges. Every day, our economy runs on mobility. Hospitality workers travel before dawn for breakfast shifts. Healthcare staff rotate through late nights. Students and interns move between campuses and jobs. Visitors fly into the airport and dispense across the Grand Strand. Year-round residents head to shops, offices, and services. When those trips depend on one person, one car, at one time on Highway 501 or Highway 17, the entire regional economy is vulnerable to congestion, to workforce shortages, to fuel price spikes, and to storms. Mass transit is the most cost-effective way to tackle all four. First, transit is a workforce solution. Employees from North Myrtle Beach to Surfside can fill shifts when reliable buses connect neighborhoods to hotels, restaurants, hospitals, retail centers, industrial parks, and college campuses. A consistent frequency on key corridors turns, "I can't get there," into, "I'll take that job." That's hiring power. Second, transit is a customer access solution. Visitors increasingly ask how to enjoy the Grand Strand without a car. Frequent shuttles linking the airport, resort areas, Market Common, downtown Myrtle Beach, Broadway at the Beach, Tanger, and the Pier districts extend spending, reduce parking pressure, and improve safety. When people can move easily, they stay longer and they spend more. Third, transit is a resilient solution. During hurricanes, fuel disruptions, or road closures, a robust bus network with park and ride lots and coordinated evacuation routes moves people efficiently and keeps commerce closer to normal. The same system that helps us on sunny, blue sky days protects us on gray ones. What do we need from SCDOT? Targeted priority on our choke points. Consider implementing transit signal priority and bus-only queue points on Highway 501 and other major corridors like Highway 17. Give places like Coast RTA buses a fighting chance to be faster than traffic, and riders will follow. A Grand Strand express spot. Establish limited stop express service throughout the Grand Strand through these corridors. Think of it as a region circulatory system with local routes feeding into it. First, last mile partnerships. Support microtransit zones, safe sidewalks, and bike connections around transit stops. Frequent bus service is only useful if riders can get to the last quarter mile safely. On behalf of the business community, I urge you to treat mass transit as the infrastructure investment it is. Help us build a network that keeps Myrtle Beach and surrounding areas moving today, this season, and for the long run. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Adam Emmerich, City of Conway. Welcome, Adam.
Good afternoon, Madam Co-Chairs and Committee. I am Adam Emmerich. I am the City Administrator for the City of Conway. Thanks for the shout out for Halloween coming up next week. We're aware that there is discussion amongst this committee about the network of roads that the state has in the system and that the need to divest of some of those roads to the municipalities. And just for the City of Conway, I can't speak for all cities. We understand that, and I don't think that we are not receptive to that fact that some of those roads are probably more apt and more appropriate to be city roads. In fact, we have over the last few years worked with the SCDOT to obtain a number of roads from the system and make them city roads, and I think we would be favorably look upon doing that more in the future. The one concern that we have is that when given roads from the state, that there be also commensurate financial consideration to what that would do to a municipality as well. If all at one time a large amount of roads were given to the cities, it would be a large financial burden to any city who was all of a sudden saddled with those roads. Roads are not necessarily assets, they are liabilities. They require constant maintenance, constant liabilities that go with those. So if there's not some financial recompense that goes with that, it would be very burdensome upon the cities. Additionally, if there were ways to streamline the process of that road transfer to the cities, that would be very helpful as well. We have a great working relationship with SCDOT, both our state and our local partners. But I know that there are some red tape measures that have to go with when we ask for roads. I know it would be beneficial to the state to get rid of those roads. So if there was a way to streamline that process for municipalities who have an interest in being able to take some of those liabilities from the state, that would be very, very beneficial to all cities. And again, we just appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak and have a voice in these meetings as well. And if there's anything that we can do from the City of Conway, happy to help you in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate that. Next up is David Gilreath. Horry County Government, I understand. Welcome.
Bend over. So, thank you. First of all, my name is David Gilreath. I'm originally from Anderson County. You probably know some of my kinfolk, probably. Some of them been in jail, some of them haven't been. We'll talk about that half. But wanted to welcome you here to the Grand Strand, to Myrtle Beach, to Horry County. Everybody's from South Carolina here. Everybody's, home in Horry County. So we welcome you. My title is I'm Assistant County Administrator for Infrastructure and Regulation. So part of my duties is infrastructure. And part of that is the RIDE program that you've heard mentioned here previously. If you're not aware, the RIDE program, as alluded to earlier, started almost 30 years ago. It went through what became RIDE 1, to RIDE 2, to RIDE 3, and now we've just passed a local transportation tax and calling it RIDE 4. It's 25 years long. Over the last 30 years, we've used hospitality fees and those local option sales tax to construct somewhere, if you bring this in today's dollars, somewhere between $8 and $9 billion of local funding that we've spent here in Horry County to improve all of our roads. Well over 90% of those dollars have been spent on state routes. We're predominantly improving the state routes because that's where most of the traffic is, obviously. We have wonderful partners here with the DOT. SCDOT could not be a stronger supporter and does an excellent job in helping us select those projects and actually construct those projects. So we thank them for that. In the RIDE 3 program, which just finished its collection period, we have almost $500 million of construction projects that are in construction or starting soon. We have almost another $500 million that are in finishing designs and permitting right now that will be moving towards construction. You've heard some of those mentioned here today. We have another, in RIDE 4, we have another $6.8 billion that is planned to be spent. 88% of this planned spending is on our state-maintained roads. We believe that Horry County, and this is not being braggadocious or anything, but we believe that Horry County has set the example for how the larger counties and cities, not the smaller ones, but the larger counties and cities should approach their growth and traffic improvements. The larger local governments should carry most of the cost for those improvements to their road networks. You don't hear this too often, I'm guessing, that we need to pay more locally. But we believe, if you'll give me an extra minute, I can throw in a good sermon here. Our RIDE 4 program is spending $5.8 billion on state roads by paying 75% of the cost to improve that state road or to construct a new state road. We need the support of the state and federal government to cover the last 25%. When we were considering the RIDE 4 referendum, they said, why would you want to do that? And we said, we don't want to deny anybody the opportunity to bring money to Horry County, right? So we believe, and this is what I want you to hear. If you don't hear anything else, I want you to hear this. We believe the state legislature should recognize these types of local successes and support those efforts through a uniform, statewide matching program. That would incentivize other folks that can create these sales tax programs or other revenues that can help develop their own network, carry some of those. So if you can incentivize them to pass that those local initiatives, I think it would help us all. We believe that 75% local, 25% state and federal plan should be a model. We're not just asking for money from you. We are going to the federal government as well. We've already engaged them in multiple levels. But I could talk for hours if you want me to preach on the pay more locally. We're all good with that. We need, DOT, as you well know, needs more money to do more things in more places, not just in Horry County. And we believe that supporting a model and a matching program like that would be helpful statewide. And thank you. I am done.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gilreath. Do you happen to have a relative that serves in the House of Representatives?
I do.
Okay.
Lee is my cousin.
All right. He serves on our House Education and Public Works Committee. Thank
He's a
you.
freshman.
Honored to have it. Yes. Up next, Barry Spivey. Horry County Administrator, I believe. Welcome. I guess I should say thank you for hosting us here in your beautiful county.
Well, we're tickled to have you in Horry County. It's a pleasure. Chairs and committee members, it's a pleasure to be here with you. I just wanted to share something on funding of existing and new state roads. In addition to what you've heard today about RIDE 4 and the other things that we're doing, there are other programs that you currently have, and I want to emphasize those to you because they're important. One is the urban and rural programs that come from DOT to the COGS that we participate in as local governments and the community. For us to have the opportunities to step forward and help set the priorities is very important for our community. So we would encourage you to keep those funds as well as enhance those funds as much as you can. In addition to that, you have the County Transportation Commission, which is set with a set budget and is funded through recurring as well as non-recurring funds. Again, that's another example of how the local governments and the community can help set the priorities and what the needs are for the community. Those are very valuable. We want you to continue those. And please enhance those as much as you can. In addition to that, local government has a lot of things they can do. You've already heard about the RIDE program this morning, but we also have a road fee that's assessed on every vehicle within the county, and that is shared between the municipalities and county government. So we are doing the things that we can to help the situation in our own county. Now, we are concerned about the quality of life for our existing and incoming residents, as well as the economic sustainability of this market. You've heard how we do impact the state from a tourism standpoint, really that impacts the entire state if we don't keep that economic sustainability in the areas that it should be. The existing roadways, what I would tell you is there's not enough money. All that you've heard from the RIDE program, it does not meet all of our needs. And we can't just focus on the existing roadways. We have to look at the need for new roadways. With the growing community we have, there's no way we can succeed if we don't get out in front of that and try to build regional type structures that would be state roadways to be able to service that not only today, but into the future. So it's important for us to plan. As you know, the axiom, if we fail to plan, in essence, we plan to fail. I would tell you it's similar from the standpoint, if we fail to fund, then we do plan to fail as well. So just encourage you, if there's any way possible, to look at a recurring funding source for new road construction. As Mr. Gilreath said, some type of matching program has value in that regard, so each individual community has a stake in the game. We make an investment, and we appreciate it more when we help put it there ourselves. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here. All right, Daryl Eckhoff? Eckhoff? Eckhoff.
Very good. Hi, call.
Eckhoff, got it.
Committee chairs and committee members, thank you for being here today and giving me the opportunity to few words. Most people think or hear transit, they picture big 40-foot buses going up and down the highways. I too thought that until I got on the board of Coast RTA. Another component of transit is the paratransit service. In exchange for accepting federal dollars, we are mandated to provide door-to-door service with wheelchair accessible vehicles, people with residents with certain medical conditions. They go to doctor's appointments, grocery shopping, and we do 3,000 of those a month. We lose $51 each of those rides. Very expensive proposition. It is a service that's definitely needed. We are committed to providing that. Do not want to make any cuts in that, but it is an expensive proposition. Keep that in mind as you consider transit funding. It's more than big buses. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Bill McFarland? Nope. Brian Piasek? Welcome.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you being here and listening to us. My name is Brian Piasek. I'm the CEO of Waccamaw Regional Transportation Authority, better known as Coast RTA. And I'm not going to take up too much time because these guys all said it for me. I just want to mention a couple things. We do need an increase in SMTF, State Mass Transit funds. It constitutes 1/170th of the total gas tax revenue. But I also want to commend SCDOT on a project, the Low Country BRT, which is a project in Charleston. You'll probably hear about it when you get down there. Is an excellent example of a modern look at multimodal transportation, where you've got a corridor in the area where they're doing roadway improvements and giving transit a competitive advantage to help with the running time and those types of things. And those are the types of projects I think moving forward that additional SMTF can help. But then also SMTF is extremely important to the rural areas as they try to leverage federal dollars. And that's, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And to our members, just Brian, so you know, we have some handouts from Coast RTA as well. So you will find that in your packet. I did give them to the members. Thank you.
It has a pie on it, but it's not as pretty as the other pies.
No.
It's not the pizza.
Trump me on the pizza.
It's good colors, but it's not pizza. Yeah. Last on this list of sign up is Weatherly Thomas. Thank you for being patient, Weatherly. Welcome.
Thank you. Transportation sure is complicated. But I didn't bring a pizza, but Mr. Strickland's visual aid will help me explain why I'm here. I'm Weatherly Thomas, and I am the Healthy Food Access Coordinator for Clemson Extension. And I'm also an Horry County native. I was born and raised here, and now I live and farm outside Florence and Timmonsville. So I guess I was asked to be here because I am an Horry County native, but I do care mostly about our entire state. And I just want to make sure that you all remember to put on your public health glasses when you're thinking about modernization in roads. And I know the DOT is trying to do this as much as they can. But sidewalks and bike lanes and greenways and all these types of things are great for South Carolinians because a sedentary lifestyle where we eat pizza is not good for us. We get diabetes and we get heart disease and we might develop cancer. And getting out and having the ability to just walk out the door or go nearby and walk or bike is going to get us out of that sedentary lifestyle. And so it's good for our health. But since my family is in the hotel business here, we've been owning and operating the Dayton House Resort since 1960. So I'm big into tourists, and I understand that we need cars to get them here. But one thing we need all around the state is economic development. And believe it or not, sidewalks and bike paths and greenways are good for business because it allows, I made some notes here. I'm the food person, but I'm talking economics. But I did say that, of course, it attracts tourists, but it does increase property values, and it also helps our families by lowering household transportation costs because, you know, what if they're not just using the sidewalk for exercise and walking, they're using it as active transportation to get to that job or to go to school. So anyway, just something to think about. Thank you again for hearing me. And I work with the Rural Health and Nutrition Program Team, and I wanted to thank you all for funding us. I guess that was in 2021. And well, if you need any help with the public lens for active transportation, you paid for us, we're here for you. Clemson Extension, thank you.
Thank you. I apologize. I checked the name and we didn't call Katie Zimmerman. I apologize. Katie, you're still here? I'm so sorry. I put a check by your name and then went back and said, we didn't call her name.
That's all right. I'm a C. I'm used to seeing that.
That's true. You got the very last letter to that. Welcome.
My name is Kate Zimmerman. I'm Executive Director of an organization called Charleston Moves in Charleston County. We advocate for safe access on the policy and infrastructure side for biking, walking. And a lot of folks have touched on what I also plan to discuss today, but I wanted to dig in a little further on how we can get to splitting the mode share. So basically offering transportation choice. Splitting the mode share is the most reliable way to start chipping away at our traffic congestion issues. So I strongly urge you all to look at the ways to invest in and design for splitting the mode share and providing folks the option to get around in safe ways how they choose. The way to get to that is a principle called complete streets. So basically, every time you are building something new or you are redesigning something, you are thinking about multiple modes of transportation and how it's part of the network, folks to get around safely by various ways, not just motor vehicle. This also involves contextually design infrastructure. So a bike lane on one road might not work. So thinking about what type of infrastructure makes sense for what type of road, location, adjacent land use. And then of course, we want to make sure we're prioritizing safety. You all heard from my colleague, Myrtle, East Coast Greenway Alliance. He's sort of set the stage where we are nationally and locally as far as our dangerously designed streets and bridges and communities. Splitting the mode share is also the less expensive way for us to get to addressing traffic congestion. So simply widening roads, that's not a long-term strategy, and it's extremely expensive. It gets us caught up in the permitting process, sometimes unnecessarily. One of the helpful things is we've got updated design guidance that's coming down from the federal government. I believe SCDOT needs to update what's called the MUTCD. It's the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. That's due to be updated by the state, I believe by the end of this year. And there's been some other design revisions. That change in design allowances and focuses can, I think, help us with some of this debate of local versus state ownership. A lot of the struggles that I see on roadway design and roadway construction is about the actual design and what follows state standards versus what local governments might prefer to see. And I think the updated design guidance is going to help with a lot of that, but I strongly encourage this body to consider that as you're going forward and as you're thinking about potential investments. Finally, one of the things that SCDOT has been doing, which is, I think, a marvelous program, it just needs to be retooled in the funding department, is their road safety audits. Not many of you participated in that, but it's wonderful because it's actually out there, stakeholders all coming together with DOT engineers, looking at the most dangerous corridor segments in the state, seeing how different types of users are using the space, whether it's successful or not so successful, and coming up with a design for improvement. Problem with that is there's a budget going into that versus designing for safety, the ultimate most robust safety, and then budgeting how much you need. Instead, each corridor with a specific set amount of money. So we're not getting the absolute best. DOT is proposing it, we're just not able to. So I strongly encourage you all to think about that safety increase, splitting the mode share, and strongly support what many of my colleagues decided today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have finished the sign-up sheet. Is there anyone who would like to speak who did not get called this evening? Hearing none. Okay. We've got a few questions, I think, Emily, for PRT, if you don't mind taking some questions from our members. I know I just put you on the spot. Since we have time and members have questions, we're going to pass the mic around, or you've got lapel mics that you can pass around, and we'll ask questions of Emily first, and then if you have any for DOT with Justin, we'll go that route, members as well. Who wants to start us off? Mr. Guffey.
All right, thank you, Emily. One question that kind of caught my attention was, or one statement was that it generates $1,000 per year per citizen. Just kind of running the math there. I mean, it's still good to have positive. But the numbers I'm coming up with is like $490 per year based on the statistics. Can you tell me what the difference is? What am I finding compared to? Can you break down, or does that even include, you know, what we are investing into it? So is it just 1 million without the investment? Does that make sense?
So happy to go, and we have a statistics team back in Columbia that does all the research and surveys behind this and how we get to that number. And so we can sit down before we go into session. But that number is based off of admissions tax and hotel taxes. And so it's a rough collective from local and state taxes collected.
Okay, thank you.
Any other members, questions? If y'all want to, if anybody's got one, we can pass some mics.
Always happy to have you guys come to our office. We're in the Brown Building. We can get our policy team that does all the research and dive into numbers for your county and your district. So thank y'all.
Great, thank you so much. We just had a little extra time, so wanted to make sure we opened it up for questions. Also, any members' questions for DOT regarding their presentation today or anything?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Representative Bowers.
Can you hear me? Okay. Secretary Powell, it was, thank you for being here. A couple months ago, we met and you talked about bundling projects, which is a great idea because the contractors, when they come in, the mobilization costs are offset if they can come and do like 10 projects instead of one project. So I had, just wondering, has there been any thought to asking or maybe some sort of blanket contract to, Joe's Paving in Pickens County to have a contract for the potholes, to just like come and fix the potholes instead of the stuff that we squirt in it, the gravel and the tar, whatever it is, just have them come and just repave that section and fix that section permanently. And, give it to them in bulk, like give Joe's Paving, 50 potholes or whatever. And again, I appreciate you doing that on the large projects. I think that's a great idea to bundle these big projects so that the contractors can come in and do multiple roads with one mobilization. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So to answer your question, obviously, we will look when we bid out, like in bridges, particularly in Pickens County right now. We will look where there's an opportunity for reducing mobilization, where basically the contractors can create an assembly line to do bridge work. So you can have the foundation team going first, and have the deck team working. So you can kind of rotate around and do that. In terms of on-call contracts, so one of the things we have for our normal paving list, it's based on requirements that we have basically in law, that we have to consider traffic condition, those type of things. When we do our paving list every year, they go out and do that. Now, on our maintenance side of the house, we do go into contracts for full depth patching. And so we do have those kind of standing contracts in many of our counties and districts for full depth patching, concrete repair, those type of things. So we do bid that out, get those unit prices. What I would say is our big challenge, particularly on the maintenance side. So while our construction budget, thanks to the funding we've gotten since 2017, has grown, basically our day-to-day maintenance supplies and contracts budget for our personnel, the folks that pay maintenance in every one of our other counties, has basically stayed flat because the gas tax has been flat. So we just aren't always able to use that same tool because we just don't always necessarily have the funds to do it.
But if we like, I believe Representative Lawson asked this a couple meetings back. If money wasn't an option, would that be, because we have some money, as well as I do, we have some money available. If we were to put that money toward maintenance, we seem to have kind of squared away the capital or the long-term major projects, but is there a way that we can you tell us what you need to fix the maintenance side?
Sure. And in the Momentum 2050 plan, I don't have the number right in front of me. We did put in a number of increase in the maintenance budget. I would say if we did get an increase in the budget for maintenance, which includes pothole repairs, full depth patching, ditching, and drainage improvements. It includes mowing, grass, kind of vegetation management. Certainly, I think we have more work than we would have an opportunity to put that. If additional dollars came down, we'd be able to find ways to spend it and spend it pretty quickly.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairlady.
Thank you. Last call. Any members with questions for the director? All right. Thank you. Thank you for being here. For our members, you have the written testimony that was submitted to the committee in your packet, so please take a look at that. And any questions that you may have for any members of the public that spoke or follow up that you would like, please get with Emma or Mills with the person's name, and we will put you in contact with them. Also, to all of you, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. This is the most important part of our job and of this committee is listening to you, the members of the public, and getting your feedback. That is what we are doing all around the state. We are on a listening tour and listening to your concerns and getting your feedback so that we can take that back to Columbia later this fall and work on addressing some of these issues and find some solutions to the issues and problems that we have identified. So thank you for being here. If you did not speak today, and you have not submitted your testimony yet, you can submit your testimony to our website, to our email address. You can email us at scHouseEPW@schouse.gov. Again, that's scHouseEPW@schouse.gov. Please submit your remarks there. Members, and to everyone, be on the lookout. We will, in the next couple of days, be announcing another meeting, a couple of more meetings that we will have coming up. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or need anything from us, please reach out to one of us, or Mills and Emma. Happy to help. So thank you again so much for being here. Thank you, members. Happy to have all of you here in Myrtle Beach. Hope you'll stay and hope you will come back often. So thank you. Have a good night.